Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. This podcast is being sponsored by Get Loopy. On episode 41, you can hear the story of Isabel, the co-founder and CEO. Get Loopy, get a 20% discount off your first order. GetLoopy.com. Take it from the Iron Woman, we only have special guests, and today we have Andrea with us. Andrea and I, we met in Central Park probably, but Andrea, introduce yourself. Who is Andrea who's going to join us today?
Hello. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to talk to you. We met, it was quite a long time ago. We met in Central Park while we were running with other friends. I guess it was probably on a Saturday morning. I can still remember it. We ran around the lake and introduced each other. And we noticed there were so many other people with different backgrounds, but the running was something that we had in common.
And then you and I, we were running coaches even for the New York Roadrunners. So maybe tell the listeners a little bit how that happened to you and what does it mean to you to be a running coach?
I joined the New York Roadrunners Club in 1998. And shortly after joining the Runners Club, they asked me if I would like to be a coach. And sure, I was happy about it. And I didn't know what does it mean. I was nervous coaching other people, but it gave me so much more confidence. And I also enjoyed the running even more. Running is an individual sport that you can do by yourself. You can also do it with other people, and it makes it so much more fun.
And it's funny that I have a friend and she always says, but running you do by yourself. When I talk to all of my guests that I have on the podcast, they say running, you support each other and you meet people from all different walks of lives. How many times do you think we circled Central Park for all our marathon training? That would be interesting to know.
Probably over several thousand times.
I would say so. Tell us a little bit about your marathon history. How many marathons have you run?
How did I start running? It was funny. I moved to New York over 25 years ago. I worked on Wall Street, and every year they would have a Wall Street run. And I enjoyed it. It was just a simple 5K run. Mm-hmm. But the old days, it was, they had still the paper chips. And I enjoyed it so much. It was fun. We also ran with other traders on the trading floor. After a while, I guess I did very well. The traders would start betting on me. I got a kick out of that. And I think that really was the point that made me fall in love with running and racing.
I remember that race. It was always like you go around so many bends and downtown in Wall Street. That was always a fun one in the evening, right?
I never thought I would ever run a marathon, but after joining the New York Roadrunners and after coaching, teaching other people how to run, after 5K, well, I'll try the 10K. Well, why should I not try the half marathon? And then I thought, I'll see how it goes with the marathon. Why not? I enjoyed the long runs. Mm-hmm. I also enjoyed training for those long runs. Mm-hmm. I did, compared to other runners, not so many, but I did 10 New York City marathons, 2 in Boston, 1 in Medoc, and 1 in Berlin.
I think that's a huge accomplishment. And I have to say for the listeners, I always remember Andrea had this super elaborated spreadsheet, when to take a goo, when to do this. Tell us a little bit about that spreadsheet. I think I still have a copy of one.
Yes. When you are training other runners, you have to have a good sense of time. How fast do you run? Because our head coach would say, well, tonight you are coaching the intermediate runners. Tonight, the other night, you are coaching the beginners. And then on Sundays, I would coach little kids. I coached students between the ages of 5 and 95. Sunday afternoons, I would go to the armory and would coach little kids, mostly the youngest one between 5 and 6. But that gave me a good sense of time. I work in finance and I like numbers, like to be exact about it. I read several books, what's the best way to do to run races and to especially run a marathon. So I decided, well, I'll take the time, and especially after every training run, I write down how I feel and see how fast I run. And after a while, I got a good sense of the time, how fast I have to run. And that alone, also our head coach told us, yes, that when you run the marathon, you really have to have a strategy, a structure, how fast to run every mile, because every mile is not exactly the same. Mm-hmm. There are lots of hills, corners, and you have to adjust it according to that. And the biggest mistake you can make while running a marathon is if you run the first miles too fast. That's what you have to be very careful.
Very good advice. We all know that, Andrea, right? We like to go fast. We feel good. And then when mile 10, 11, 12, or 18 comes around, you're like, there's nothing in the tank.
And I probably also learned it from the traders who were betting on me, because they knew exactly my time. And maybe that also helped me in training.
This was the time before everybody could track you. Today we have an app and you see a little dot and you can follow you. So maybe you put even a little more pressure on yourself to make sure that on Monday you can go back to the traders and tell them, hey, I completed it exactly according to the plan.
I ran the first Boston Marathon that you could watch it on. In those days, yes, the Boston Marathon, they also have it on TV. And sure, the traders on the trading floor, because the Boston Marathon you run on a Monday, the traders would watch that marathon on the trading floor.
And I remember when you went to Boston, I don't know, the first or the second time, it was so hot. Remember that?
The days before, that winter was very rough. Oftentimes I would go running. It would be minus 10 degrees outside. Jerry Marcus, he would run with me, no matter what kind of weather condition was. And even shortly before the marathon, it was still freezing cold. We went to Boston, and on that Saturday, it was in the 90s, hot and humid. And well, there were 20,000 runners, 2,000 of them, at least 10% ended up in the hospital because their mistake was they ran too fast. And in that case, because I had a good sense of timing, I put even more pressure on myself not to run too fast the first miles. And the funny thing was, at mile 7, I thought, I cannot make it anymore. There was a gas station and everybody had to go to use the restroom. The best about it was they were already standing in line inside. They had an air conditioning. I was waiting there for 4 minutes with air conditioning. And afterwards, I felt so much better. It was much easier. Sometimes little tricks help make a big difference.
That's a good trick. Who knew?
Yeah.
That's something special. I think the marathon training and also the marathon running can teach us a lot of things. Is there anything special that you would like to share with the audience that comes into mind when you think about your running career?
What is also nice, I've met so many nice people. I've made so many friends, like with you, Susan, and our pizza club. They are really all wonderful people, wonderful friends. And the nicest part is always when we travel together to run a marathon together, like Berlin, Rome, Medoc, and France. That was really fun.
Tell us about Medoc, because everybody else is raving about it.
It is really worth it. And well, the special thing about it, when we went, I think it was 2004, there were not too many runners, and you have to wear a costume. You have to dress up in a different costume. I went as an American Indian. And the nice thing is they had 26 water stations. The best about the water stations, or the funny thing about the water stations, was they serve first. You get a glass of water, and not only did a glass of water and a glass of wine. And not only did you get a glass of good wine, the wine was being served in real glasses, not in plastic cups. In those days, there were 4,000 runners. Not too many, but it's still.
Did you drink wine?
No, I didn't drink any wine during the marathon because I wanted to finish the whole marathon. Lots of people did drink wine. I drank a glass of wine after the marathon. And the good thing was, once you ran through the finish line, if you had on a costume, they would give you a hug, 3 kisses, and a bottle of wine after crossing the finish line.
Well, it's special, and I'm sure it was also beautiful to run in those vineyards in France and to see. So it's not only scenic, but very special.
We stopped at least 15 different vineyards. Thank you, Susan.
Always nice to talk to a fellow runner and also a fellow coach from the Central Park Days in New York City. What are you taking away? Take It From the Iron Woman has episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Don't miss out. There's something for everybody. And don't forget to order Get Loopy. Get Loopy is the plant-based snack. You get 20% off of your first order. And Take It From the Iron Woman is also a book. Order it, maybe a gift for somebody. It's a paperback or an ebook. And coaching and mentoring is available. Check on the website and like us, subscribe to the channels, and enjoy the podcast.